Hi Philippe, what brings you here today?
Hi Libby. Yes, since we last met, was it 10 days ago? 10 weeks ago. 10 weeks I've been left hanging, literally. I've been suspended from my work, and in the end I've decided to resign. We are here at my old workplace, Cerebral Palsy Scotland, previously known as Bobart Scotland. So I've worked in this building for about 10 years since we moved here, but I've worked nearly 20 years for Cerebral Palsy Scotland as a physiotherapist with children with cerebral palsy, and in the latter years also with adults.
Wow. So, last time you were suspended. So, what actually did make you resign in the end?
So because basically my concerns about the health and safety of children that I raised was not upheld. It was dismissed. It was regarded as a concern raised without merit, and on the back of it, in response to my grievance, which I first raised with the CEO of Cerebral Palsy Scotland, Stephanie Fraser, she dismissed my concern immediately, without even fully acknowledging or reading my email and acknowledging my concern. So I had to go to the board, the board of trustees of Cerebral Palsy Scotland, to raise my grievance, but that was my concern was regarded as without merit. And on the same email I received the message that my professional conduct was being investigated, and they contacted my employer, which is the Bobart Centre in Watford, who declined to look into it, and so they also contacted my regulatory body, the Health Professions Council, who were I then received a letter that they were indeed starting an initial investigation into my conduct. However, I did receive, after a few weeks, I received an email from them that they started the initial investigation, but that I was free to work. I was allowed to work. However, my employer also said I could work. However, I was not allowed back in here. I've not been allowed back in until I was picked up my personal effects the other day.
So, did you feel that your position was untenable?
Yes, because I received the message from my employer during the appeal process. So I went through grievance with my employer, went through whistleblowing procedure, which I believe was not followed. The procedures weren't followed here. Procedures weren't followed by my employer, the Bobart Centre, and I received the message during my appeal meeting, where one of my colleagues was present, that as a public body, they seem to have the right to not be neutral on the stance of vaccines for children. So when I heard that and they said they could be pro-vaccine, I had to say to the CEO of my employer, Madeline Cassidy, I said to her, I have to think about this, whether I want to still work at Cerebral Palsy Scotland if I cannot raise concerns and they can put on their website whatever they like. They can put lies on their website. I am not to raise concerns and I can't do anything about it. I feel if something were to happen to a child, whether it's an injury or worse, death, I would feel responsible. I would feel complicit. So I decided I cannot work here anymore.
I see. So what now?
So now that's why we're here. I want to share what happened to me. Hi there.
You alright?
Yes.
Okay. What are you up to? What are you up to?
We're just talking.
No, I was just asking.
Yeah.
Hello, nice to see you. Take care.
Bye. So this person is the new centre manager that I met her when I picked up my personal effects.
Interesting.
Yeah. I believe she doesn't know anything, but she clearly feels that she needs to check what's going on.
What's going on?
So she knows.
Yeah. So what? This is very interesting. So what now? As we just go back to that question.
Yes. So what now? I'm here to share what happened to me because I want parents to know what happened, and because I think it's very suspicious. Why would they, in the first place, suspend a person who raises genuine concerns that my employer says I was completely in the right to raise? An employment lawyer I spoke to said I was completely within my right to raise those concerns. They suspended me, which a suspension should not be just done for any odd reason. It usually is used for very grave concerns like gross misconduct. And the length of time this has been going on for is suspicious within itself. So I want parents to find out what actually happened so that they ask questions.
Yes.
They have to ask questions why this has happened, and ask themselves what could be behind this.
Yes.
If there aren't any concerns, why has it come to this? Why could this not be have been solved from day one internally with my CEO? Why was this escalated, and why was it escalated again to my employer when actually it should have been dealt with within grievance and disclosure policy within Cerebral Palsy Scotland? Procedures weren't followed down south either. Why not? So all these are questions I think that parents need to ask themselves. They need to ask the CEO what happened and why they've suspended me, why they didn't seem to want me back, even though I was allowed to work by my regulatory body, by my employer. They didn't want me back to work. Why not? I wasn't deemed a threat to anyone. My colleagues wanted me back. My colleagues are devastated, and I suspect most clients that know me will be very surprised. They have been in the dark for 10 weeks as to the reason why I haven't been at work. My colleagues were in the dark. They were told nothing. All they were told was that I was not available. I was not available to work. So there are possible conflicts of interest. I know that the CEO of Cerebral Palsy Scotland entered the House of Lords in January of this year. In conversations, she told me this was an opportunity she couldn't miss, but that she wouldn't do anything with it until later in her life. However, we learned very quickly that she truly did enter the House of Lords. It was last year when I had the conversation with her about the House of Lords. In January, she entered the House of Lords. By May of this year, she was part of the COVID committee of the House of Lords, which has 12 members, and she's one of them.
Okay.
She has done several speeches within the House of Lords, so she's very active. And also have to ask the question, if she's full-time CEO of Cerebral Palsy Scotland, how does that fit within her roles within the House of Lords and the COVID committee?
Yeah.
I think these are questions that need to be asked and answered ideally.
Yeah, I've got one other question, which is how this has affected you personally, how you feel about all of this, your reputation and just your general well-being.
Well, it has been a roller coaster with very strong feelings from the beginning. I have to say, mostly feelings of shock, disbelief, very occasionally, briefly, anger, as in when when the message first arrives, when you're looked into your conduct, when I have an unblemished reputation for 25 years, something like that, as a physiotherapist, highly respected, skilled, senior clinician. No other person has worked here as long as I have. Yes, it's I can feel it in my heart, the injustice and the helplessness that I really wanted to go back to work, and I think my employer knew that, sensed that. Somehow I was prevented to go back to work, and it was made clear that, as from the start, which you can see in my first video 10 weeks ago, that my CEO warned me in our first conversation that there would be a clash. Indeed, there has been a clash, and I understand what it was. She also threatened me with, Philippe, I do not want to see you not working here, which has become true in the end. She said, when I checked with her whether it was a threat, she said, no, I'm telling you this as a friend, Philippe, but there will be a clash. And yes.
So how can people reach you, Philippe, and find out a bit more?
So I'm setting up a website, so please have a look at my website if you want to know more, because I will put all the information on there, and you will be able to read through all the emails, and you will be able to also find the other video that we've done together 10 weeks ago with regards to this.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.